Recording. Hello, everybody. Welcome to week 2. You guys excited? Yay! I'm so excited. It's going to be awesome. Oh, I'm so glad.
Sorry.
I'm so glad to hear it. Week 2. How did you guys feel about week 1? Chef Jonathan, how did everybody look for their assignments?
Pretty good. I was really quite happy with the assignments I was seeing. Everybody was very detailed, giving multiple marketable features, really put some thought into that SWOT analysis for both themselves and their competition. So I really loved that. There were a couple of common stumbling blocks. One of those was SWOT analysis. You want to make sure you're being specific about what business we're talking about. So when you say competition, and you list out this wonderful SWOT analysis, that's awesome. I just need to know if you're talking about McDonald's or the French Laundry as your competition.
Yeah, because those are going to be 2 very different levels of competition. Am I right?
Right. So, make sure you get that in there. The other really common thing I saw was just putting a link to the census website instead of giving those demographics right there on the assignment. Remember, when you're presenting your business plan to someone, a lot of times they're just going to hit print and actually read it on paper. It's a lot easier on your eyes if you're reading through a lot of papers to read it on paper. So if I just have a link under demographics, there's nothing I can do with that if I'm printing it out. So you want to actually not only give that link so that I can see where you're getting these numbers from, but give me those specific numbers of average age, income, home prices, and education level. There we go. I know it's in there somewhere.
And
Yeah,
as you said that, I forgot to put in the link.
Yeah, because your investor is going to want to know. Like, they expect you to do the research and they expect you to back it up. And if like an investor says, well, where did you find it? And you said wiki, they're probably not going to give you the money because they're not going to believe wiki. Like, wiki's great for finding quick, trivia. But like I said last week, I can put the Queen of England in as an 8-foot purple polka dotted dinosaur with a picture. My son would love that. If I was like, here's a Queen of England, and I put that in there, he'd go crazy. So let's not do that. That's where, government websites, finding all that stuff, it's really, really important. Wayne, yes.
Yeah, I actually do a fair amount of business research in my current job. One of the best resources that I find for doing market analysis is using the tax office in the city and county. So when I call the tax office and I ask for census reports for, within 3 miles of XYZ intersection, they can give it to me right away. And then when I start asking about taxation costing or whether or not businesses are matching or meeting their tax requirements is a big thing, because that's a big reflector of whether or not this business is going to have a struggle in obtaining profit.
Yeah, because it's all about you guys are in that beginning stage of being your entrepreneur. And then once you're creating that business plan, but even part of that, even before that business plan, you would even want to consider doing a feasibility analysis, because that feasibility analysis is going to be able to tell you if this is really going to work or not in the location that you want too. So doing the research is super, super important. As Wayne said, that's a great reference in this source to use, and it's good information. Get out there now. You guys are entrepreneurs, you should be making these connections. Make them now with the Chamber of Commerce, your downtown, your business associations, all of those kind of things. You're gonna want to make friends with all those people so you can figure out all like who's part of your target market, what's happening in the town, all of those things that are going to matter in your business, in your business plan, in your marketing plan, all of it, right?
One of the things is to be aware of is if you are using these local government resources, is that depending on how much information you're asking for and even what government we're talking about, is whether or not they're going to charge you to give you this information. I paid as little as $10 for a report, and I paid as much as $150.
Yeah, some of them it's like 25 cents a page.
Yep.
And you have to pay cash. But all right. So let us look at this week. Remember, we have a discussion that is due on Saturday at 11:59 p.m. Central Standard Time. And you have 2 peer responses. 2 other posts due on Tuesday at 11:59 p.m. Central Standard Time. So remember, your discussions are due on Saturday. It's a great question in there. You have some thoughts. It does not need to be the novel that I currently have to write for my schooling right now, because it is pretty, like, it's like a novel. But put some thought into it. Why you think it's a big idea. Sorry about that. My son just walked in. And I'm going to let Chef Jonathan discuss the assignments real quick.
Yeah, so this week, as usual, your assignment is going to be due on Tuesday night at 11:59 p.m. Patricia, I do see the recording icon on my screen, so we're good there. Thank you for the heads up, though. Late submissions. If you guys have not gotten your week 1 submission in yet, please, please, please do that before midnight tonight, because it will lock you out after that and you won't be able to submit it anymore. And I really want to hear all about your concept. Also, this week 1 assignment really does set the groundwork for all of the other assignments in this course. By already having these things thought through, you're going to know, you're going to be able to really focus on how these other assignments directly apply to you and your business. So
that's perfect, because yeah, it's like I said, it's all about you're building momentum, you're building your business plan. So you got to make sure you have it all down, all good to go, right? And one of the great ways to start off is figuring out what are your ethics for your business. So you tell me, what is ethics? What does it mean to you?
To me, ethics is value. It's our own personal, our social values, and it's our professional integrity.
Yeah. What about anybody else?
It's proper conduct with your relationships, whether they be business or customers.
Yeah. Honesty. I see integrity, professionalism. Right? Anybody else? What else do you guys think ethics is?
we have moral principles in the chat.
Moral principles. Yeah. Because it is pretty much that standard guideline for you to follow on what is right and what is wrong, right? Now, how many people have realized that food has been at the ethical debate for ages? You guys know that? Letitia's nodding yes. Yeah, because I mean, is that cucumber a cucumber, or is it a cucumber that is chock filled with pesticides, GMOs, and is paid by, or and is picked by ill-paid illegal immigrant workers? There's a whole slew of stuff to consider when you're thinking about ethics. And it's important for you to consider this for your actual business. Like if you're gonna say that you are going to have a, locally sourced, like farm to table concept, then you better back it up, right? You better make certain that you're actually finding those things locally sourced. You can actually find everything if you wanted to, and not use the excuse that one of my chef friends would say, which is, it was local somewhere. And that's not a good stance to have. So how many people have seen the farm to table and you think that you can do 100% locally sourced? Anybody? Anybody?
You gotta own the farm, the animals, everything yourself.
Yeah. But is that actually is that true?
Well, I mean, to be able to prove that everything is farm to table, to know the source.
Because, I don't know about you guys, but the people who say they're 100%, it may not be 100%. Like, do they have a salt mine at their farm? Do they magically find out how to make vanilla beans other than Madagascar? Like, what about cinnamon? That's a giant tree that you're literally shaving the bark from. So are they actually, like, those are things that people don't really think about or consider, but that's a big part of the ethics of your establishment. If you're going to say it's 100%, then you better not be using vanilla, right? Because that is saying there isn't all products available specific. Yep. The regions are very, very true. Like, you can try to have stuff as much as you want to, but I can tell you, I can only fit 2 pineapple plants in my house, and those things fruit every 2 years. So people can have pineapple every 2 years. One pineapple every 2 years. So those are things you need to consider when you're looking at your ethics of your place. And this is where, for your business planning, you can get your core values, right? Your core values are like understanding what you consider ethical. Do you think, like, because, there's vegan, there's GMO, there's Roundup. How many people have heard about the Roundup scandal? That was was it November? Am I right, Chef? Was it last November?
I'm not sure if it was November or not, but I'm well aware of it.
Yeah, how many people heard about that? Where now all the Roundup, like, they tested the samples in your oatmeal, and they saw how it was like triple the amount that should be in, like, digested by, like, legally allowed to be digested by people, or how did they call it? But those are things you have to consider, because some people are going to be like, oh, yay, like, you have oatmeal, that's fantastic. Well, another person's going to be like, well, that oatmeal is filled with pesticides, so it's really not that healthy for you. So those are things you really have to consider when you're looking at your core values, because you're going to implement this into your plan and into your culture of your business. Now, what is the culture of an organization?
A culture of an organization is where it's basically what is the social norm of society within that business. So what is the family? Is it a family? Is it more of a corporate response? Are people a team, or are we working against each other?
Yeah, it's like, because it's based on, like, the shared attitudes of that organization, right? What the values are, the beliefs, the customs, those written and unwritten rules that have been developed over time, and that organization considers a value. So if you are part of an organization that is very much into doing organic, doing sustainability, then you're going to draw people who are going to have that same belief and values. So figuring out what you consider right and wrong is really an important part of your business, because some people may be fine getting that, going to whatever store, getting that $99 shirt that's been made in China versus other people may not want that, or sorry, not $99, 99 cent shirt, sorry, 99 cent shirt that was made in China, versus other people who are like, no, those are sweatshops, and, you know, child labor laws and all that type of stuff are being broken. So you don't want to have another big debacle for your establishment, say like that Nike had in the 90s, right? With all those child labor laws. You guys remember that? Anybody? Yeah. So you don't want to have that. And there are different things that you can do to show people that you may have if you're going to go the ethical route and you're like, I want to provide sustainability practices and give back to the world. Because remember, you created that mission statement. We talked about that vision, the vision that you have for a better world, right? You can become B certified. How many people have heard of a B Corp before? So they are like Ben and Jerry's, New Belgium Brewery, that Chef Jonathan and I know oh so well because we both lived in Fort Collins, Kickstarter, Stonyfield, all these places are B corporations, which means that they are striving to make their world a better place through using sustainable practices, through getting involved with the community. And then another great one that helps figure out what is everybody doing. Is everybody actually doing what they say that they're doing? Is this group right here. They actually check to make sure, because it's a giant report, it's a global report on figuring out how much people are actually doing in an ethical, in using an ethical approach. And like always, these slides are going to be available to you guys on the page. So you will also have all of these fabulous websites that you guys can check out. And then this one is a magazine that talks about the corporate nights and making stuff clear, like cleaning up stuff, what's going on, who's doing what, which is a great opportunity to find stuff. They even have a food and beverage section and a health and lifestyle section. They have all this stuff that goes over some great information. So if you're interested in this kind of thing, you can really find that information and look into it and really see how much of it you want to put into your plan and how much you don't want to put into your plan. Because, you know, there is no like right or wrong answer here. It's really up to you. Like, you don't have to be organic. Like McDonald's, they are not organic. They still make plenty of money. Like, you don't have to do that, but these help you, give you a guideline for what you want to see happen for your business. And that'll also draw people in to your culture who you want to hire, because they will be drawn to your business because they like your mission statement. They like your core values. Am I right, Chef?
If I can find my mute button. Yep. Chef Rachel was mentioning New Belgium Brewery and being a former Fort Collins, Colorado resident. They have a ton of sustainability programs that they put out into the community. And that really was a big draw for me when I first moved there, to check them out and figure out what they were doing and try and support them as a business, because I saw them involved in the community. I saw them doing Tour de Fat and showing how bikes can be used for transportation, or doing sustainable power for their brewery, or whatever else it is. It got me as a consumer interested in their business. Never mind me as a chef or me as a restaurateur or anything.
Yeah, and I actually popped up here for you guys because figuring out your core values is a really big and important part of your establishment, which can be rolled into your corporate social responsibilities. So here are some examples. And this is New Belgium's. New Belgium's is great. Like it's this giant major thing right here. I mean, they even have like beer scouts, which is they go around, they call them themselves beer scouts, and they go around and they like, they're part of nonprofits. They help the community. They'll go onto all the trails in the different areas around us and help clean the trails out. And they'll do all this kind of stuff. And as you can see, like New Belgium, they're a part of that B Corporation. But McDonald's also has their own version. And if McDonald's has something, I mean, you should try to go for something too, right? Now, does being ethical mean also that you're being lawful? Or if you're being lawful, are you being ethical?
Don't those two go hand in hand though, together?
No, not necessarily. Right? Because sometimes, I mean, it's one of those, McDonald's is independently owned, then it can get a bit harder.
Because you can go with their franchise or a corporation, with some of the fast food businesses.
Like the health department will not care if you are local, using local organic. What they care about is that you're following the correct flow of foods and safety and procedures to make sure that no one's getting sick. So the health department is going to care about what you're doing to that food. They don't care that you are trying to be sustainable, but your core values may be that you're trying to be sustainable. The health department just wants you to not get people sick.
One of the things we see is that if the health department, with their concerns, and if we're trying to be sustainable, sustainability costs money. And the more sustainable, good examples are fryers. If we're trying to be more sustainable, we may try and stretch our oil out a little longer than we should. And so, I mean, that's a cost that we need to really pay attention to. And if we're going to stretch our fryer out a little more than we should, that might raise the interest of the health department a little bit more.
Right, because that farmer, they may have a great setup and they may make a great product, but maybe they're not zoned to have a actual restaurant by their farm. Maybe they're not supposed to have anything in that area, you know? Maybe there's not enough electricity to actually have the proper amount of equipment that you actually need for your kitchen. I know of one restaurant who they thought they had the best location in the world, and they decided they wanted to expand and do a bakery, and then lo and behold, there was not enough electricity for them to do the bakery. So they had to move. This is part of that whole, you know, week one, looking at your location and your demographic area, figuring out all that stuff. And this is where week two, you can look into the different laws and regulations. And, you know, I said zoning, but it doesn't have to be zoning, right? We can look at those laws and regulations to make sure that you are being legal for your establishment, right? So the best part about it is to understand the laws and regulations, you got to do your research. Research. Am I right? Do you guys like my little dinosaur?
Yeah.
Chef Jonathan said, please do your research. And then what else do you have to do? You have to back it up, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have to back it up by putting those delightful links in for your stuff. So do the research. They're different everywhere. There's the federal, and then there's the states, and then the local, right? Because the federal, that is the baseline. That's the minimum you have to do, right? And then you have your state. Is your state okay with what the baseline is, or are they going to up the ante a little bit? Because they realized, you know, say for minimum wage is a great one. Do you guys know what your minimum wage is? Do you guys know what the federal minimum wage is?
I
And
know
then what-
minimum wage around here is $9.25 an hour.
Yeah, because there's a federal minimum wage and then there's the state minimum wage, right? There's different levels, and you have to, as a business owner, know all the rules and regulations, because you are not allowed to say, my bad, I didn't know. The government will not take that excuse. They'll be like, well, you're still going to get fined and possibly jail time. So this is where knowing all of this information is going to benefit you, because you can't just say, well, I didn't know. Yes.
Well, what I was going to say is I noticed that, just about any employer, doesn't matter restaurant or not, at least in the state of Michigan, that they have the labor laws in the Michigan state and federal labor wage and or minimum wage, all that posted on signs right there in every break room for every employee to see. So that, and I don't know if that's mandatory or not.
Yes, it's mandatory. I've been in too many businesses.
Yeah.
They have to have them up.
Yeah, but I didn't know if it was a Michigan thing or if it was something all around the whole country or not. So
Yeah, they have to have them up. Any business, they have to have those up. So then the employees can see what they need to know about the business and with the labor laws.
And then to help you guys out, on the main page for you guys, do you see this little link right here that says good information to know? You guys all see that?
Yeah.
If you click on it, you can make a copy, and I made this just for you guys because I love you so much. This is all about the different labor laws. These are some good questions that you're going to need to know for your business. I have stuff on here like what the federal minimum wage is, what your minimum wage is for your current state, the amount your business is required to pay. Can tips be pooled and distributed to your kitchen staff? What are the maternity laws? All of this kind of stuff right here. Now, you don't have to do anything with this, but I just wanted to give this to you as a guide to go off of for you guys, so you have that baseline to know what you need to know and what you do not need to know. Because, I mean, do you guys know how late a 15-year-old busboy can work on a school night? What's allowed?
8 o'clock.
7 o'clock.
7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, like what's allowed in your establishment? Do you know how old a person must be to work in a dining room versus a kitchen using power slicers?
You gotta be 18 to use slicers.
Yeah, 18 to use slicers. It's 18 in Colorado too, but some places are going to be different, right?
I thought it was 21. A few places that I know, they do 21 that you got to be.
And this is why doing that research is going to be so helpful, because, and we will go over this especially next week when we're doing those delightful work schedules, is that how many people know that some states like Colorado, you are required to pay salaried employees overtime. If they make less than, I believe it's 55,000 or 45,000, you have to pay them overtime still. So for those people who are like, oh no, I'm just going to be working 80 hours a week, well, you still have to pay yourself for not only those 40 hours for salary, but also those 80 hours in overtime. And that is pricey. Very, very pricey, right? So, oh, that was almost a law, but it was blocked in Texas, huh?
This morning.
Oh, this morning? Dang. So yeah, these are things that you need to know and be prepared to find the information for. And I gave you guys, I have a couple of different websites here. These ones, obviously, I'm in Colorado. So I found where my Colorado stuff is, but a lot of this stuff you can look up starting a business, labor laws and regulations, and you'll find all of this great stuff. Like, what is unemployment? What are, like, are you required to do benefits? All of this great, I think I opened up that one. We can look at labor standards and statistics. And as you notice, this is a government website. So you can find that information, and it's good information to know, especially when it comes to ServSafe. Now, how many people have heard of ServSafe or your food handler's permit?
I have. I still have mine that expired like 10 years ago, but I've had mine for a long time.
Well, you know, each state is different, such as for Colorado, they just made it so every single establishment has to have at least one person who has ServSafe manager's certification. Now, for me, coming from Massachusetts, Colorado's behind, because when I lived in Massachusetts, everybody had to have at least a food handler's certification, and then all of the managers had to have the manager's certification. And this is where knowing what your laws and regulations require for your area is very, very important, because it's not going to be the same everywhere. Even for ServSafe itself, there are different tests for different areas. Like, I believe Chicago has a different ServSafe exam versus the standardized one. And I believe there's another one that's different. Was it like Oklahoma, or do you remember what it was, Chef?
Oklahoma requires their own state food handler's card. So ServSafe, not applicable in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
So remember, if your business is in Oklahoma and I see ServSafe, I can't give you points. Make sure you're doing your research on your area specifically.
What's up, Stinky? Why are you dragging your butt?
So, but this is where finding that information is really, really important. And Lord knows that Chef Jonathan has been evaluating for quite some time. So he pretty much knows where like all of the laws and regulations everywhere. Am I right?
I may have seen this assignment once or twice before. I'm getting a pretty good idea. May not be there yet right off the top of my head. I still do the research myself.
And then this type of thing is where you can pull into that ethical behavior, your core values. Because if Colorado requires one person to have their manager's ServSafe certification, are you just going to have the business owner do it? Are you going to pay for everybody else in your establishment to get that certification? What if they decide you paid for it and now they're going to take off and get a better job because you bought them their manager certification? You can also look at it this way too, is that you can be an instructor proctor for ServSafe, because once you have that manager certification, you can actually start teaching people. You can teach your staff how to do it, and then not have to pay somebody to teach your staff, to proctor the exams, to do all that kind of stuff. So that's where you need to, going back to those core values is really important. Am I right, Chef?
You are, just to clarify, to proctor an exam is a little bit different than the manager's certification.
Yes, sorry, you have to get the manager certification, and then you have the ability to become an instructor and a proctor. It's like, you actually need to pass the test first. And then if you felt like becoming an instructor and a proctor, you can, but you have to take an additional test to do so. Sorry, thank you very much for that, Chef. So do you guys know of the different laws and regulations for your area?
No, not right offhand.
Yeah. Do you guys see anything that's always very interesting? And there's huge things, especially for this industry. Like I know people, like one of my acquaintances who has a place in the Cape, the visas, he always had these, like these 4 women from Jamaica come out every single year, every single summer to be their house, be his housekeepers. And then all of a sudden they changed the law and the regulation so that they were always a little bit lenient on that 60,000, like the amount of visas, where it was like, oh, you can have 60,000 is the maximum you're allowed. Before they used to be like, but if you got one before, it's okay, you can come on in, you know. Not this year or last year. Last year they cut it off and said, no, it's 60,000 and that's it. So he did not have his housekeeping. He did not have them. He was scrubbing toilets and making beds because he did not have his staffing. So that's why it's important to not only know where to find the research for this stuff, but to keep updated, because there's always an election. There's always something that's going to change. And that is really, really important, especially for your business. Because like I said before, you saying, oops, my bad, I didn't know, doesn't cut it. Am I right, Jeff?
Yes, you are absolutely right. Usually police, the IRS, the health department, they're usually not too keen on hearing, oh, I didn't know. So it's okay, right? They're gonna slam you for it. It doesn't matter if you know it or not. It's your responsibility to know what is required of you as a business owner. Even as a manager, actually. Even if you're working for somebody else, but you're in a supervisory position, it's really important that you know this information, because you will be held accountable for it, whether or not your employer tells you. So,
yeah, because the health department may show up when your manager's working. So you better know like what temperature that chicken should be cooked at, right? How long it needs to hold its temperature for. Am I right? For chicken? You guys remember how long? Temperature? Anybody? For cooking chicken?
165?
Yeah, 165. For
For a
how
minimum of
long?
15 seconds.
Wait, sorry, I missed that. What did you say?
For a minimum of 15 seconds.
For 15 seconds, yes. But your roast beef, that can be 4 minutes, right? If you're holding that temperature for your roast, that's 4 minutes that it needs to hold that temperature. Those type of things matter. So that's why it's important to, even if you're a manager, you still need to know this information. And it's going to be equally important for your assignment. That is due on Tuesday, 11:59 p.m. Central Standard Time. Yay! Assignment! Woo! One step closer to perfecting your business plan. Am I right? Because isn't this going to be nice? You get to have awesomeness of Chef Jonathan be consulting you. You have a free consultant. Isn't that great? Boom. So what's a great idea for that consultant? To turn it in early. Get that bad boy done now. Am I right, Chef?
yeah, so this week's assignment is a lot of research. A lot of research. And it's going to take a lot of time to really get the information you need. So really, guys, give yourself extra time. Get started tonight or tomorrow morning. Get started early. Submit it early so that you have that opportunity to resubmit. If there's something missing, if something's not quite right, then you can still resubmit if you get it in early. If you wait till the last second, you might not get your grade back until next Thursday, and then you're really pushing the time limit on resubmit. So please, guys, please, earlier the better, so that I can help you get the best grade possible. With that, I should probably start talking about that week 2 assignment, huh?
Yeah.
So if we take a look at our class page, this is the assignment description for you. there is this worksheet. So if you click on that, it's going to have you make a copy, and that will bring you to here. So the first step, you have all already done it if you did your week 1 assignment. Include your concept summary. That's worth 15 points on this assignment. But if you remember back in week 1, right here at the bottom of that first bunch of boxes, you wrote your concept summary. So if you just highlight that and don't highlight that, highlight this, hit Control C, come back over here, Control V, and you just got 15 points. So please, guys, please do that, because it really is important, and it also allows you to see where you are. And I think Chef Rachel's talking to me, but she's
sorry. Your screenshot stopped sharing.
Oh, well, that's fun.
Yeah, so I just wanted to give you a heads up. So you may want to.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Please yell at me whenever I do that. Is that better? Can you guys see the screen?
Yes.
Perfect. All right. So like I said, up here at the very top is your concept summary. Make sure it has your city and state included in that concept summary, because all of this information for week 2 is all about your specific city and state. If you tell me what California's liquor licensing is all about, but you're in New York, I can't give you points for that. So make sure you're telling me where you are so that I know that you're giving me that local information for your area. So this looks like a lot, but really you just have these 5 things to look into: seller's permit, fire inspection, labor laws, liquor license, and your food handler's card. With each of those, you're going to answer each of these questions. What is ServSafe for your food handler's card? How do you get it? Who in your business is going to need it? And how much is that going to cost you for each person that needs that? Finally, give me a link to that course. So how do you get all this information? And by the way, it doesn't have to be ServSafe. Any food handler's card that's certified works just fine. But where would I go for information? Nobody. Maybe Chef Rachel can help me out.
Yeah, this is where, remember guys, when I brought up that ServSafe and those awesome information that I found about Colorado? You guys remember that?
Oh, the government.
Government websites are the best resource. And if you can dig through your local food code and find the specific requirements, that's awesome. However, there is a shortcut. There are certified programs out there. They are certified by the government. And so once the government certifies something like a ServSafe, then you know that this is now a reliable source. Somebody has looked into this source of information and given that stamp of approval. So you can go to servsafe.com. You can go to, I think it's nationalfoodsafety.com. You can look into different food handlers cards that are certified and get that information from them. So once you get that information, you want to drop your link right here in this middle column. So all you're going to do is copy that link, come back to your assignment, and paste it right in here. And you just cited your source. I know where you're getting this information from. If you're getting your information from thank you, nationalfoodsafety.org. Thank you, Chef. So let's say I got my answers for that food handler's card from both servsafe.com and nationalfoodsafety.org. That does not want to work in my brain tonight. I would put both of those websites here. So if you're pulling information from somewhere, you need to cite that source. So let me know where you're getting that information from. You can have one link, you can have 10 links, but you need to cite your sources. With each of these, the questions are going to be a little bit different, but the general idea is going to be the same. What is it? How does it apply to your business? How do you go about getting it? That's the general idea of the questions that you're going to be answering about each of these things. There are some terrific resources out there for things like labor laws, and I was so excited when you were talking about those. This website here is kind of great because it lists out minimum wage by state. So you can search for your state. You can also see what other states around are doing. Remember, there is a tipped minimum wage as well. There's overtime laws. These are things that you are going to absolutely need to know.
Chef, could you give me those links, and then I will plop those bad boys into the slides also.
Absolutely.
That'd be fantastic. And this is where you say, thanks, Chef Jonathan. Am I right?
Yeah, so really, how do you guys think I found these web pages?
Research.
Yeah, but how did I start? Easy peasy. I took my question, what is my minimum wage? And my business is in Omaha, Nebraska, right? So all I'm going to do is type into Google minimum wage, Omaha, Nebraska, or minimum wage by state. And that'll give you search results that are directly related to yours. Remember, you need to not be using bobsblog.org unless it's got that stamp of approval from somebody who is credible. You want to have credible sources. So try to get .gov, .state, .us. These are immediately recognizable as being reliable sources of information. For your liquor license, your business may or may not need a liquor license. However, I want you to look into liquor licenses in your area, even if you don't need it, because it's incredibly important information in our industry to know. And it's incredibly important to know what you cannot do if you don't have a liquor license. If I'm a personal chef and my client wants me to throw a party for 60 people at the local park, do I need a liquor license?
Yes.
Usually, yeah.
Do you want to deglaze that pan of yours using white wine? You need a liquor license for that.
Yep.
Just because you don't serve it, if you're using it in your kitchen, you still need a license. So remember that.
So, does that make sense? Do you guys have any questions right off the get-go about that assignment? Now,
I don't think so. Not yet, anyway.
do you guys see what I mean by there's a lot of research here, and to give yourself some extra time this week? Yeah?
Yep.
Yes.
Excellent.
Yes.
Go ahead, Aaron.
No, I just said yes, Chef. I understand.
Thank you. Yeah, guys, this is really important information. If you are a manager working for somebody else, you need to know this information about each of these different things. Food handler's card, whether or not you need a manager certification in the building, liquor license laws, labor laws, fire inspections. These are all things that are going to be directly relatable to your business, whether you own it or not. If you don't want to start your own business, you still need to know this.
Yeah, you still need to know fire code. When I was a manager, like, was the business owner's name on that delightful lockbox on the outside? So in case the fire department is called, they can open up that lockbox to see who to call. It was my name, my number. So I needed to make sure I knew like all the laws for that stuff because it was mine. And yes, Elena, if you wanted to glaze that beautiful pan, do a creme brulee or bananas Fosters, anything like that. You got flambe like no other. You need a license.
And Elena, that is not only deglazing of the pan, it's buying the booze in the first place to deglaze the pan. You have no intention of ever selling alcohol. However, you're buying a product with alcohol in it for a business. A lot of places are going to require you to have a liquor license. You want to throw beer in your marinade? You might need a liquor license. It's really important to know this stuff because then when you open your business, you know what to do and what not to do.
You know another reason why it's so important to know this stuff? Geico, State Farm, what is that?
Insurance.
Insurance.
Yeah.
Say something happens at your establishment and you were not to code or you had liquor and you didn't have a license, they don't have to pay your claim, right?
Yeah.
So insurance, that's why it's so important to know this stuff. And I mean, you never know. You're starting off small. Maybe you want to get bigger. Maybe you will end up expanding and getting a bar in there. Do the research now to figure it out.
And Elena, I will also say, some states are not that strict on liquor licenses. Just because I see you still talking in the chat with the liquor license. Some states, not so strict. Some states, super strict.
Mm-hmm.
You need to know your specific area's requirements.
Yeah, isn't it like Utah is like one of the strictest, right?
I think so.
Like Utah, because it's like you can only buy a certain amount during certain hours or, yeah, I think they're one of the strictest. So remember, guys, your assignment is due. And then when is your discussion due?
By Saturday, then 2 posts by Tuesday.
Saturday with your 2 peer responses due on Tuesday. Some things to consider, and I will also do a little video blog about this too. But do you guys know how much Parmesan cheese costs? How much a wedge costs for Parmesan cheese?
Last time I bought it, it was almost $9.75.
Do you know if you're getting a Parmesan cheese from a specific spot in Italy, if you have one of those giant wedges, they'll actually, that bank in Italy will take it as collateral. That's how valuable Parmesan cheese is. So when you're looking at, did that guy do anything wrong by taking that Parmesan cheese? How valuable do you really think that wedge of cheese is, right? Did it put him into a different tax bracket because he got that? Do you think it was okay that he took it without, and didn't share it with his boss? He just took it? Those are things to consider with this discussion. Am I right? Another good one is, which I'll also bring up, that he had ground meat in there. What if you decided to get your friend is a hunter? He hunted, what was it? Elk season a little bit ago. He ended up hunting elk. He was like, hey, here's some ground elk for you. You can totally make sausages out of it. It's going to be awesome. And then you end up giving it to your, using it in your establishment and somebody gets sick because the elk had parasites in it. That is an issue, right?
Mm-hmm.
Am I right, Chef?
You are very right. Scary right. Does discussion have to be answered by our own state laws? It's actually a scenario that...
Yeah, it's just a general scenario for you to consider. These are things this is the time to have these discussions now before you start your own business. Am I right, Chef?
Yes. One of my favorite things to say about this is write a handbook. If you take over a business that does not have an employee handbook that addresses every last possible thing you can think of, you should write one. That should be one of your first orders of business once you're starting to hire people, is making sure they understand who you are as a business, what is expected of them, and you have in writing that they understand this is acceptable or unacceptable. By doing that, you're really going to make sure your staff is on board with how you want to run your business and how you want to approach situations like what's in the discussion forum. One other real quick thing, make sure to do your knowledge check this week. Make sure to click through those lessons, check out the materials on the class page, because that is worth some points for you. So don't forget the knowledge checks too.
Yeah. All right, guys. Does anybody have any questions? Anything at all?
No, not right now.
Well, then you are all set. Well, if you guys, I hope you guys have a fabulous weekend. I'm looking forward to seeing what everybody writes in their discussion. And if you have any questions, let me know. Let Chef Jonathan know. He's going to be so excited to see all of those early submissions. Am I right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, early submissions. So, have a fabulous night, and we will see everybody next week. I will see everybody in the discussion.
Have a good night, guys.
Good night.